So I already had low expectations for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but what I was wondering is if it would actually manage to drop below the already extremely low bar. So, does it? You bet Jurassic does! This movie goes out of its way to be the perfect example of how to make the most generic summer blockbuster. It doesn't try to be anything challenging or interesting. Jurassic World wasn't written by writers, it was written by executives in order to hit a checklist of stuff they think will sell. The film has almost no substance and essentially relies on brand recognition alone. There are so many problems with the film on a fundamental level that it made me feel nothing while I was watching it. It is honestly easier for me to tell you the only time of the movie I actually managed to get an emotional reaction. When the volcano is about to destroy the island, and don't worry, we're gonna get back to that volcano, there is a single dinosaur that wasn't able to get onto the boat, so all of our main characters stare at this giant dinosaur as it gets engulfed in the lava and the smoke of the volcano for like 2 minutes. It is an incredibly well done scene, but the more you dissect it, the worse the scene becomes because it's another one of those boxes on the checklist that the executive is one in the movie. The scene before this was a full-on super exciting action scene, and with how quickly it transitioned into this, it didn't feel natural and gives you tonal whiplash when the death scene occurs. You will also notice that it is a brontosaurus, so soon your inner child realizes you're just watching Littlefoot's mother die all over again. The brontosaurus has sort of become the dino equivalent of a dog. They are both innocent and cute in their own way, and because of their innocence, if you need to inject your film with a quick emotional scene, it's easier to kill that than someone that would actually have any real impact on the plot. Like, how much better would the film have been if after all the buildup of him being the protagonist, Chris Pratt just died? Like, instead of a random CGI creature that exists solely because it tested the best in focus groups, the main character was just brutally killed? At least then I would have been shocked by something in the film. I honestly wouldn't have given that much thought into this if it were any other dinosaur other than the brontosaurus, because then it wouldn't have felt nearly as manipulative. I remember this was the one scene that I actually enjoyed. I felt that the rest of the film was so boring that I truly wondered if anyone on this film cared about making the movie fun. Remember what I said about book club? If your cast and crew has fun on set, you can usually see that fun bleed onto the screen. Here, everyone seems so bored. The direction of every single character's performance seems so bland. Everyone either underacts or overacts each scene, and it comes off as just weird. And it really isn't the actor's fault. It takes a good director to give these actors the correct direction so that their performance matches exactly what the film needs. I never believed that there were dinosaurs around our characters because no one reacts to them in a realistic way. Take a movie like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Everything in these scenes are so methodically placed and designed to make the cartoons seem like an actual part of the world. Every actor was given a very specific set of directions so that when they draw these characters on screen, everyone has a consistent eye line. And a lot more of the interactions they have with the environment are done practically so that when stuff starts moving, the actors realistically see how the stuff is impacted around them. But with the advent of CGI more or less taking over every aspect of special effects, the less talented directors do not know how to direct their actors to the stuff they can't see. The Star Wars prequels are terrible offenders of this. There were many moments while watching this that I could tell that no one knew where the dinosaurs were in the realm of the world, and no one had the exact same eye line and looked in a slightly different direction. And I know that some of you may think that this is nitpicking, but isn't it kind of important for your actors to actually react to what's the main focus of your film? The reason why the original Jurassic Park is still the best looking film in the franchise is because it relies heavily on practical effects that are then enhanced by CGI later. So everyone had a frame of reference of what's going on and what is where. But very rarely do they use practical effects, and any scenes that did eventually devolve into some sort of CGI spectacle. It has been this long, and I haven't even talked about the story itself. Every aspect of this story to me seems like the most lazy decision. Let's go back to talking about the volcano. If any of you have taken a screenwriting class, then most of you would know Blake Snyder's Save the Cat. If you haven't heard of it and have any interest in screenwriting, I highly recommend checking it out. In it, he breaks down the already simple 3-act structure into 15 story beats. The fourth story beat is known as the catalyst, and it's the thing that forces our character's world to change. And in this film, that's the volcano, and when the movie reached this point, I already felt the story falling apart. There was a question taking over my mind like a tumor that just kept growing. Why in the hell, when you were working with these genetic miracles of science worth probably upwards of trillions, we'll get to that, would you build this entire park on the site of a volcano? They mentioned the fact that it was a dormant volcano until this movie, but should that matter? The other Jurassic Park sequels had dinosaurs already on a different island, so why not check that one and make your park there if there isn't a volcano? See, now that's a nitpick. Anyway, the writing of the movie is also just the blandest. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard had no chemistry in the first film, so they do that blockbuster sequel thing where they just said they broke up so they don't have to spend any time writing interesting dialogue of them being together, because if they were already together, there wouldn't be anywhere interesting for these characters to go. Because they aren't characters, they're blank slates. The little girl is also one of the worst characters in the film, and she's also one of my biggest issues, not only with the film, but where the Jurassic Park franchise could possibly go. So if you want to skip spoilers, just go to this point in the video, but let's be real, if you made it this far, do you really care about spoilers? The little girl is revealed toward the end of the movie to be a clone, meaning that they had tried the genetic cloning on humans. It would have been somewhat surprising if the entire film didn't beat you over the head with foreshadowing. It wasn't a surprising twist at all, and sadly, I think human genetic experimentation is the logical end for the Jurassic Park franchise, and it does absolutely nothing with it. It is the most forced excuse for putting a kid in your film. If she were a regular girl, the story would be no different, and it wastes what could have been one of the most interesting characters in this tired franchise. And in the end, she essentially gets adopted by Pratt and Howard, which means that the two characters that have no chemistry now have a kid that they spend almost no screen time with. She's built up as this big secret that drove Hammond and his partner apart, but this seems like one of those things that we should have heard about. Genetic experimentation must be expensive, but according to this movie, I guess it really isn't. This was a huge pet peeve of mine in the movie, and it really made me irrationally angry when it started putting a price on the dinosaurs, and not for the reasons the movie wanted me to. When the main villain started to sell dinosaurs on the black market because it's Jurassic Park and they don't have any other stories to tell, I was expecting them to be a little more expensive. Like, the villains half the movie are talking about how they need more money in order to continue experimenting. If that was the case, especially since they were stealing the money from the estate of one of the richest people in the world, tell me why they were super happy selling dinosaurs at a starting bid of
$1 million.
The average cost of making sure a GMO food is good for consumption is roughly $130 million. And you're telling me that creating brand new species from scratch, bred to be the ultimate killing machine, was sold on the black market for about $30 million? If they spent a single second on set changing it to billion, it wouldn't have been an issue, but that just proves that no one gave a shit about the story of this film outside of being the most marketable thing imaginable. This movie feels like it was written during the writer's strike. Also, if you were expecting to get any Jeff Goldblum in the movie, you're just stupid. I really did not mean to rant about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but I honestly just wasn't expecting it to be this bad. It would be easier to avoid this film entirely and just watch the last good Jurassic Park film, the original Jurassic Park. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom gets a 2 out of 10. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to see more reviews, then click the playlist to see my other stupid opinions. Alright, see you next video.